Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh god, last time on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure we had Thankful Death Part 1. I don't know where that came from, doesn't matter. Anyway, Thankful Death Part 1 where the two dudes were trying to kill people. Mista tried to kill them. He almost did, and then he almost got killed, but luckily one of the 6 bullets, I believe it was number 5, was able to save Mista at the last second, and he got ice to number 6, who got the ice to Bucharati, and then Bucharati took on the fight, and he knocked out Pesci, and then moved on to the other dude, whose name I don't want to try to pronounce because I will butcher it, and I don't know. I just don't feel like butchering the Italian language today. Anyway, but all hope had seemed to have been lost, and then Bucharati just opened a hole in the side of the train and was like, alright, I'm just going to throw you out and kill you. And that's just that. So yeah, we have an entire full episode of Thankful Death Part 2, but I honestly don't know if this fight is going to last more than 5 or 10 minutes, but I guess we'll have to see. Like always, the reaction is down in the description and the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. Just go click on that link and you can watch the complete, uncensored, fun, good reaction. With that said, why don't we just go ahead and jump right into this episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Here we go. Oh, alrighty. Well, that that got brutal. That got very, very brutal. And you know, it's not like there isn't brutality on JoJo, but there's something about chucking a dude under a train and breaking a guy's neck with a fishing line and then beating him so much that his body completely gets separated into pieces. Granted, that was, part of Zipperman, but still. And I don't know. Maybe part of it is because, brutality when it comes to Part 1 and Part 2 is concerned with vampires, In Part 3... and for a good majority of Part 4, most of the villains end up retiring, Like, how many villains die aside from Dio and Kira, Like, I'm trying to think, like, okay, what villains, they just die. Our hero straight up kills them, Aside from our main villains, Honestly, I don't think, like, any at all. If I had to think, like, unless there was one in Part 3, because Part 3 had a lot of stand users. But I honestly, no, I don't think... I think most stand users in Part 3 and Part 4 retire if they're not the main villain. So the fact that pretty much every single... at least of the Hitman team... That's 4 down. 4 dead. Formaggio, Mirror Man, Perscuto, I think is how they said that, and Pesci. They're all dead. 2 of them now killed at the hands of Bucharati. One of them killed in a team effort. A team effort between Giorno and Fugo, and Formaggio being killed by Narancia. So yeah, it's not even like, oh, it's Bucharati because he's the leader and he's the one he's been in the mafia the most, the longest of them all. It's like, no, they all pretty much do that, hell, let's look all the way back, this isn't a new thing in Part 5 either. Because the first... Giorno straight up murders Pulpo, He murders Pulpo. There was who was the guy on the boat? The guy on the boat with the stand that could, like, deflate people. I think he died too. And then after him was the arts and crafts guy. I think he died too. Like, I think every villain we have encountered has died. And on the one hand, yeah, it makes sense in this, especially with the mission and, you know, and everything that's happening, you know, like, you know, yes, you know, our team, we've got a team of good guys, you know, of good men, but at the same time, we are not, you know, the Joestar group going to fight, you know, the vampire or the serial killer. Like, this is the mafia, you know, and it's members of the mafia fighting other members of the mafia, you know. And yeah, it's just a very interesting thing. Like, yeah, they always pretty much end up dead, you know? Oh, I guess one example would be Vanilla Ice. He died, but he also became a vampire, you know? I'm going to actually look. I'm going to look and I'm going to see, aside from vampires and Kira, basically, how many villains have actually died. This will take me just a sec. I guess Tower of Grey ended up dying. Well, yeah, okay, maybe some early stuff, because Dark Blue Moon, I think he died. The monkey, I don't know if the monkey died. Well, okay, I guess there's the question of, do they fight with the intention of killing? I guess that's the next part. If they die as a result of the fight, that's one thing. Bucharati straight up murdered both of them, you know? And I'm all here for it. That's great. I love it. It's great. This was a great fight. It's, you know what? It's a great fight for a character who, and this is about Pesci, for a character who is a horrible design and has a god-awful stand. It turned out a decent fight, you know? Because when he gets his friend second wind, and he's like, oh, now I can take life, and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I don't give a shit about you, you know? Like, the other guy was interesting. The other guy was interesting, I guess. He was alright, but I don't understand Pesci. It's like, why? Why does he look stupid? Why does he look like JoJo's version of Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy, you know? Why that? And when they go on and on about how good his stand... Like, they keep going on about how good his stand is. I swear, because Araki's trying to convince us, like, hey, this isn't a stupid stand. It's formidable. And yeah, it can hook the heart. But still, like, I feel like anybody... Again, though, if it was... I feel like if it was a fishing pole and a humanoid stand, then that could have been fine. Like, this is kind of the first one in a while that's not a humanoid stand, you know? And I've really enjoyed the humanoid stands in Part 5. So yeah, if it was like that, then I would at least be like, well, okay, he can hook you. Yes, he can hook you around the heart. That's pretty dangerous, but... Again, because I guess I just didn't think about the heart. Because, yeah, it's still the same thing of last episode where I was like, well, if you hook someone and then... If you hook someone and bring them to you, then they kill you, you know? So I guess there is the whole thing about hooking the heart, you know? And that was interesting. That was a danger. And... it worked. But if that's your only method... And, you know, the other thing, too, is that it is a line. It's a line. Like, The line, like, if you stop it, it doesn't then just grow from here. Like, he literally has to cast more of the line in order to make, well, to have more of it. So, in theory, could you not just hold the line and it can't move anymore? I guess maybe it must be. I'm really trying to make this stand work. I'm basically giving every excuse I can for this stand for it to work. But it must be that even if you grab it, it can still snake its way through, you know? Because yeah, it's like you would think that would just be the thing in, like, if JoJo was here, he would just grab it. He would have Star Platinum grab it and then yank Pesci over and murder him, you know? So the fact of the matter is, they really tried in these 2 episodes to sell us on, oh, this is one of the most dangerous stands, a fishing pole. That apparently can be seen by normal people as well. So there's that. Which, there's no reason for it to be seen. Like, that's the rule. It only stands, you know, and yes, there are some exceptions, like the boat. The boat, you know, what did they say? It was like, it takes so much energy that it can't be invisible, you know? But that's the whole thing, is only a stand user can see a stand, you know? But that guy on the train, he was fine. He could see the fishing pole. And it can't be that it's like, oh, well, it's such a normal item. Whole Horse had a gun, and they couldn't see it. They made a point when he freaking drew the Emperor on the Egyptian police. Mondato was like, Whole Horse, they can't see your stand, you know? It was erased by 4 kids. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I can't, that's the thing, is like, I can't get into this as much as I probably should. Because his design is stupid. It's not threatening in the least. And his stand is a fishing pole. And the fact that they hinge, you know, the dramatic climax of this episode on that is, I don't know. But it was still a good episode. The thing that makes up for how stupid Pesci is how awesome Bucharati is. Bucharati is the friggin' best. He is just amazing, you know? Just watching this man work is so great, you know? And man, just everything he does with that zipper thing, you know? He keeps zipping stuff. Now, it's interesting because I would have figured, well, if something is unzipped, it still functions as if it were zipped together, you know? As if it were still whole, you know? So I would assume if he unzipped his hand, I would assume he would still be able to move his hand because it's still a part of him, even if it's not technically attached. But from that, he literally unzipped his heart in half, and thus it stopped beating. But while it was away from, you know, his chest and his brain, it was still beating. Thus, presumably, it was still pumping blood to the various pieces of his body. And I'm probably just overthinking that, but still. But honestly, I mean, that's a Jotaro move. Literally a Jotaro move right there, is stopping your own heart, you know? And there is, I mean, to some credit with Fisherman, that, you know, he can tell, like, how much weight is on the end. He can listen to breathing and stuff, so it can be used for, like, searching, and that is something. But it's a fucking fishing pole. Like, what the fuck did you expect, man? What did you expect? Oh, well. Anyway, but it was still, I mean, it was interesting, and again, just very, very interesting. And again, I talk about the 6 bullets and the whole spectrum of sentience and stuff. I really like the 6 bullets. They're just kind of goofy, Like, I think they work so much better than, like, other sentient stands, of which shall not be named, I mean, like, yeah, you have, like, Anubis, and that's really interesting, but you get some of the others, and it's like, what the hell are you doing, But honestly, I mean, just because, even though the 6 bullets are sentient, they still feel like, it still feels like a part of Mista, More than Cheap Trick or Act 3. Let's be honest. Damn it, I mentioned it. Oh well. I'm trying to get over that. He's gone. He's gone forever. I need to move past. I need to move past the absolute shit stain that is Koichi Hirose. Did I mention in one of these videos I finally figured out why I don't like Koichi? I finally figured it out. I'll mention this just briefly right here in case I didn't mention it before, but if you've ever seen Yu-Gi-Oh! GX and you've seen Cyrus, that's what I wanted out of Koichi. A sidekick, just someone who stands there on the support. He can hold his own, he can hold his own, but when shit hits the fan, when the Shadow Riders show up looking for the keys to the Sacred Beasts, you don't give one of those keys to Cyrus. You give it to Chaz, you give it to Alexis. I know that's pretty strange. You give it to everyone. You do not give one to Cyrus. You don't give one to Chumley either, but you don't give one to Cyrus. And that is the problem with Koichi Hirose. It has been 0 days since Alex last complained about Koichi Hirose. Meh. Anyway, what else this episode? I don't know. I'm still on that last battle because as stupid as Pesci is, Bucharati is so freaking cool. Like, God, he is so amazing. And do I want more of Giorno? Yes, but you know what? I'll take Bucharati. And I mean, that's the thing. I'm so torn because on the one hand, I want JoJo to be about JoJo. On the other hand, I really friggin' like this team, I like Mista, Narancia, Fugo, Abakio, Bucharati. I like Trish. Trish is interesting. But I also want it to be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Sometimes, like, I get to the end of an episode and on Netflix, the title pops back up after you pause. And just looking and seeing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm like, oh yeah, JoJo. When was the last time we had JoJo? Like, part 3, maybe part 2, That's the last time when JoJo was a main character, was like part 2. But I really like Bucharati. He's really cool. I love his friggin' voice. That friggin' voice, like, oh man, it's so great. Is so amazing. And then Trish has a stand, sure enough. I was thinking about that today. I was like, oh yeah, they kind of hinted at that, but they haven't said anything. And so presumably Trish can see everyone's stands, which is pretty crazy. And yeah, some sort of thing, like she like burned the earth or left an imprint or some, I don't know what the hell her stand is, but I'm curious to see more of it. I would actually, oh my god, what if they do like a training thing? Like they train her with her power. Oh, I can finally get my training scene that I have missed since Battle Tendency. Oh, that would be so cool if they like taught her how to use her stand. Oh, these people would be terrible teachers. Maybe Bucharati and Giorno would be alright. The rest of them they would suck. Oh, another thing I just remembered. Because we had the other guy, Callan Kessler, show up. I don't remember what his name was. But we had Callan Kessler show up at the end. And it's like, oh yeah, Pesci's body has been mutilated. So it must have been Bucharati. But they're long gone. So I also didn't realize that the zipper stuff can stay. Like, that can be made permanent. It's not like Thankful Death, where it's like, well, once he dies, the effect wears off. Like, no, that can stay forever. Because I also thought about that in relation to Abakio's hand, because he zipped that back on, and I thought, okay, well, maybe, that's a good temporary thing. But is it does that, can that stay there forever? Or are they going to have to, like, unzip it again and, like, have it reattached or something? But it seems that a zip or an unzip can be permanent, which is interesting. So, I mean, Zipper Man, I think we're going to have to jump that up into the top 10 stands, Like, I've got Shining Diamond, Hermit Purple, Heaven's Door. I really have to think about the rest of them, but somewhere in there, throw in Zipper Man, I think. It's just so friggin' cool. And yeah, where are we going next? We will have to find out. Well, we were on a train to go to Florence, but we're not taking the train anymore, so... Oh, God, excuse me. We'll have to figure that out. Anywho, that is basically it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.